Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, we are going to be talking about what feels like the new big gaming sensation, Helldivers 2, right? It feels like everybody in the world is playing this game right now. Pretty much everybody on my friends list has just been constantly sinking time into it. I've been sinking time into it. You've probably been sinking some time into it. I say that like, oh, everyone in the world's playing it, but obviously there's been some server limits recently. They had it set to, I think, 300,000 for a few days, but I think they have since then upgraded it to like 700,000 people can be on at the same time. And I say that like it's some sort of tiny minuscule number, but since this game has come out and just absolutely blown away all expectations, the game kind of it's done the same thing Palworld did in a way, right? Just a month ago. It's one of these games that, like, yeah, it was on some people's radar, like some people were excited for it, but it came out and the game was so good, it was so fun, and it went so viral that it just led to this snowball effect where, a few people started talking about it, then a lot of people started talking about it, and then now all of a sudden a ton of people are playing it. So right off the bat in 2024, Helldivers 2 has joined the ranks, I would say, of the underdog success stories in the gaming industry, and I love to see it, honestly, because Helldivers is one of those kinds of games that, truth be told, I've been looking for such a long time, but I didn't know that I was looking for it for such a long time. Now, I'll be honest, I never played the first Helldivers. I never really saw much about it, heard much about it, wasn't really into it. So going into Helldivers 2, this was like a completely fresh experience to me in a way, right? And I mean, obviously, I've been using it for gameplay. I'm using it for gameplay here. Probably will continue to do so. I think it makes great gameplay. It's fun as hell to actually play yourself, especially if you're playing it with friends. That's kind of the whole point. But to give you a quick rundown, Helldivers 2 is a game about saving Super Earth and humanity in a way through the Sweet Cups of Liberty, as it's called. You basically are fighting against two different enemy types, the automatons, which are a bunch of violent, hyper-aggressive robots, and you're fighting on the other side against terminids, which are these like massive bugs and spiders and roaches and shit like that. And basically, it's a game about this big galactic war between humanity and these monsters and whatnot, right? So you go to different planets that are in different systems, and you fight different types of enemies. There's a couple different types of missions, oh, you can go in here and kill off these enemies in this area, or go in here and launch this missile, or go in here and evacuate these citizens. There's different missions that you can launch into. It's up to, I think, 4-player co-op, right? And like I said, it's absolutely blown up, right? It's become huge. It seems like everybody's playing it. It's getting to the point where there's server problems. The developers are scrambling to, I guess, get more hands on deck so they can handle the resources and the load management, things like that. It's just been insane to kind of watch this all go down. And so I thought, fuck it. I'll come on here and I'll talk about the game, what I think about it, everything, right? Now, obviously, from the title, I call it a broken masterpiece. And I don't know if that's going to piss people off or if that's going to be pretty much right in line with your experience. But me personally, I have been playing the game on PC. I purchased it on Steam. I've been playing a kind of a mixture of with friends and not with friends, right? Now, obviously, this is a game that is mostly a co-op game, right? But if you choose to, you can play it alone. It is much, much more difficult to play alone, but it is possible. So the game itself, right, is just pretty fucking phenomenal. Let's just say it, man. I already have personally like 18 levels, I think, out of the way. I think the gameplay is probably a little delayed because I've been just building up hours upon hours of gameplay footage. But so I've gotten a decent amount of time into the game. I've experienced pretty much all the different types of missions, played it on several difficulties, used a bunch of the weapons and ordnances, upgraded my ship, checked out the superstore, things like that, right? And so I just kind of want to talk about the benefits that this game, I feel like, brings compared to other games, right? Because I really feel like these developers deserve so much more credit than what they've gotten so far. So first off, the game itself is just fucking great. Let's just say it. I mean, it's like $40, I think, to buy, so it's not necessarily at that like AAA price tag, but from the gameplay, man, you would genuinely believe that this game is a $70 game. I mean, the graphics are, I think, pretty fucking good. It's pretty immersive. The explosions, me and my friends have been talking about the explosions a lot, and you'll see them in the gameplay and whatnot from the airstrikes and stuff, but it's just fucking beautiful. Like, yeah, I know we're on these other violent, aggressive planets, and I'm blowing up bugs 3 times my size, getting killed by robots that are, you know, hitting me with missiles and shit, but like, the explosions, it's just beautiful. Like, the way that it just fucking cooks everything, the flames, the colors that come up out of them, the way that, like, you feel the impact of the explosion. Like, I have a PS5 controller, even though I play on PC, and like, you can feel the vibration and the rumbling. I think that's kind of cool. I mostly play the game on keyboard and mouse, and it feels just fucking flawless on keyboard and mouse. The shooting mechanics itself, I think, are another really cool feature. Like, I know most shooters, this is a third-person shooter, but I know most shooters in general, right? They don't really have the gunplay, kind of like how Helldivers does. So, like, obviously, there's big waves of enemies coming, so you'll see in the gameplay often, like, I'm kind of like mopping my shots instead of like direct firing on an enemy. I'm like kind of mopping across like a line, and you'll notice that like big circle and the dot in the middle, they kind of sway, right? Well, that's indicating where your shots are going, like where your barrel's pointed, right? Now, in like Call of Duty, obviously you kind of just snap aim right onto every target or whatever, and that's how you shoot. But in this game, you have to like actually wait for your character to get the gun downrange and like at the enemy, right? And then like if you're stumbling or if you're getting hit by another enemy, right, like your gun will waver, it'll sway around, so you can't just shoot perfectly. And like for enemies that have armor that your bullets cannot penetrate, you'll see like the little like dings and flashes and whatnot when the bullets are hitting its armor and bouncing off. It's just fucking great. I can't lie. The gunplay in this game is so impressive. I mean, personally, I'm not typically a huge third-person shooter guy. I've always preferred first-person shooters, but the gunplay in this game is just so fucking good. It's butter smooth. I think it is almost like the perfect medium for this type of game, right? Because like I imagine myself being on an alien world and fucking 40 bugs coming at me, right? Like, I'm not gonna be sitting there with a fucking AR tap firing. I mean, I do sometimes in the game, but like, I'm not gonna be sitting there tap firing, hitting every shot on the head, right? Like, there's got to be some sort of variance to it, and I think this game provides it perfectly. Also, the friendly fire thing, I think it's kind of funny. Obviously, it can get annoying if you have teammates who drop ordnance literally right on top of you, or maybe they don't know friendly fire is enabled, but I think that was such a good feature because, let's be real, like, if you could just drop ordnance wherever you wanted and survive it, that would take so much challenge and fun out of the gameplay itself. I mean, the fact that you have to actually run from your ordnance and you have to kind of like, especially if you're in a real sticky or dire situation with like a lot of enemies, you kind of have to like plan, oh shit, this is where I need to run, I gotta get out of here before I drop ordnance, things like that, right? I just love the gunplay and like the decision making that this game makes you do, because it really, to me, feels like I'm on those worlds fighting these fucking bots and these bugs and whatnot, right? When I'm sitting here defending a spot, like when the dropship's about to come in, 20 seconds left, and I see a wave of 70 enemies closing in from 3 different directions, like I genuinely feel kind of perilous, like, oh shit, we're gonna die, what the fuck, right? The game, it's so good, I feel like it actually getting you in the setting and getting you to feel like, man, I'm really in this shit. And I feel like that's what video games have been missing for a long time. Like, yeah, you know, Call of Duty and all these other games, they might have the flashy graphics or, you know, all the cool weapons and whatnot, but the actual gameplay itself is what's key. The immersion itself is what's key. Making me feel like this is an experience I want to go back to is what's key. And I mean, Helldivers 2 does all of that perfectly, right? Truth be told, like, I have really been struggling to find the time to play the game as much as I want to, because like all day, man, I'll be sitting here, you know, working on videos or trading stocks, or I'll be out in the real world doing whatever I'm doing, you know, running errands or going to meetings and shit. And next thing you know, I'm like, damn, I kind of wish I was at home playing Helldivers, bro. This shit's so fun, right? And it's one of those games, I feel like it's actually doing what most games can't do, and it's bringing its community together, okay? Like, let's be real. If you're in Call of Duty or Halo, or I know I'm comparing it to other shooters, but that's what comes to mind, right, when I'm thinking shooter. These games are all communities with divided-ass communities. You got different subsections of people who act completely different, and some are toxic, some are not, whatever, right? But in Helldivers, like, it really is everybody on the same team, because like we're all in this constant global war on 2 different fronts, and like if we don't work together, if we don't team up, this is a losing effort, right? The fucking automatons and the terminids are gonna overrun Super Earth and we're all gonna die, right? So this is a game that instead of, I feel like encouraging people to play alone, encouraging people to not want to run with their team, encouraging people to just fucking load in by themselves and not care, right? This is a game that's reminding everybody like, hey, we're all playing a multiplayer experience together. Everybody should work together. And so far, like I said, I've played with just friends, I've played with randoms. Even the randoms that I'm playing with, they're actually communicative with their microphones. They're actually doing what they're supposed to do for the missions, and they're playing the game. And I know at this point it may sound like, oh, but Optimus is just fishing for whatever he can. But like, dude, in modern multiplayer games, I don't know if people realize how hard it is to actually find multiplayer experiences worth playing with complete fucking strangers. And it feels like Helldivers 2 is exactly that. And I talked about this part in particular in an exclusive Watch Optimus video. If you want to join, you can. It's $5 a month down below. Hit the join button. I got dozens of exclusive videos you can watch right there. But I talked about this in one of my exclusive videos. This is one of the first games I've ever seen that has like markedly made progress in like bridging the console war. I mean, it seems like every major video game franchise, right? It just like, it kind of contributes in a way to the console wars, because if it's an exclusive, people on one side are like, oh, look at our exclusives, better than Xbox, you know? But like Helldivers 2 is in that spot where, like I said, it's a really communicative co-op game, right? Like you really do need teammates more than people are willing to admit maybe. And so even though this game right now is exclusive to PC and PS, PlayStation that is, there's now petitions online with thousands of signatures, many of which are Sony fans, surprisingly, basically asking the developers to port the game to Xbox so they can get in on the action and play the game too. Like, I cannot stress enough how impressive that actually is of a feat by the developers. They might be the first video game developers in history to actually make PlayStation and Xbox fans want to play a game together and have fun together instead of fighting over which fucking plastic box with a logo is the best one, right? Like, this is kind of like the gaming community's way of like the fucking Crips and Bloods, I guess, uniting together in like a common fucking effort or something here, right? It's kind of crazy. I genuinely couldn't believe it when I started seeing that shit. Like, dude, I've never seen that happen before. Any other time, you know, it's like Spider-Man or God of War or whatever, right? You got the Sony fans like, oh, look at all the Xbox dudes, LMAO, we're having fun, you know, but nah. Suddenly Helldivers 2 comes along and hey, we need those fucking Xbox dudes out in Malevenon Creek, you know what I mean? Let's get this fucking war going, bro. And I love that. I really do. I love to see that. And I love to see a developer that actually do what a developer is supposed to do. And like I said earlier in the video, I don't think the developers are getting the love they deserve, because even after this game came out, they have done nothing but make correct decision after correct decision. Now, I know they did cap the server player limits and whatnot, right? But they had to. They had way more traffic than they expected. I was completely fine with that. The game's been playable, even for me. There's ways to get around it and whatnot, but it's for the greater good of the game. Like, I'd rather them put on like a server cap or whatever than for the servers to not be up at all because they're just letting the servers get overrun or whatever, right? So then obviously with all this success, there was some worry like, oh shit, what are the developers going to do? They're going to have to hire more people to kind of keep up with the success. But the developers came out and said, no, we're not just going to go on some massive hiring spree like an Ubisoft, Activision, EA, whatever would. We're going to just hire temporary workers. We're going to scale reasonably. That way, when the game inevitably has a little bit of a player fall off and a little bit of the hype around this game dies down, which happens with every video game, we're not stuck with all these extra employees that we've hired that we now have to lay off. We're ruining our company reputation, our employer reputation for. We're spending money we don't have to. We're just going to focus on improving what we can right now, like, I guess, intelligently scaling ourselves and doing it that way, which I fucking bravo, man. Like, choosing to not make an on-the-fly decision that could harm you down the road when that is absolutely the industry precedent, man. Like, I gotta give credit where credit's due. Most developers would not do that at all. They say, fuck it. If we got to hire 5,000 people today and lay off 4,500 of them next week, that's what we'll do. And that's not what they're doing here. And I think that's great. I can't lie. I think that's phenomenal. Also, the pricing, microtransactions, all this shit, right? It's done so well. Like I said, this is a $40 video game, believe it or not. Like, it's genuinely quality enough to charge $70, but the developers are out here charging $40. I gotta respect that too, man. Like, they have a really good price on a really good video game. I love to see that. I think everybody is pretty much tired of paying $70 for video games in the first place, bro. But yeah, the game does technically have microtransactions. It's got this thing called I think it's called the Superstore, if I'm not mistaken, right? And it's basically like a small little item shop where you can buy cosmetic armor and whatnot for your character. And I know that usually makes people roll their eyes, and I totally get it because, like, I mean, I saw something recently, Call of Duty, they just released a bundle in Modern Warfare 3. It's like a gun camo, a couple weapon charms, emblems, shit like that, right? It's like $35 fucking for the whole bundle. For like one weapon skin, bro, you know what I mean? That's fucking crazy, especially in a $70 video game. But like, I took a look at the in-game currency price. The in-game currency is called like super credits, space credits, super credits, I think is what it's actually called. Not only can you earn the super credits in-game by playing and picking them up in matches, but you can earn them in the game's like free battle pass progression thing that also unlocks new weapons, armor, things like that, right? So you get them for free in the game and in the like free battle pass. And then like the pricing itself is pretty goddamn good. For instance, there is no bundle of these credits that is above $20. I mean, they're pricing this shit at like $1, $5, $10, $20 for different bundles. Meanwhile, you got AAA developers out here in $70 video games unironically willing to charge you $120 for a fucking digital currency bundle for like max value, bro. And then I've been like taking a look at the items themselves in the Superstore, and like helmets are like 150 credits. I think you can get 2,000 credits for 20 bucks or like 1,500 credits for 20 bucks. So like, I mean, an in-game helmet or chest plate or whatever you're getting, it's like $1, $2, $3 fucking dollars in this game. I'm sorry, but that is perfect. That is literally perfect pricing for a microtransaction. Now, I know I have this reputation to shitting on microtransactions, so some of you are probably like, oh, but Optimus, you don't like those. Remember, those are bad. I don't dislike or think that microtransactions are the worst thing ever. I think that they're bad and they're terrible when they're overused in AAA $70 games. When small devs who are publishing a game for 40 fucking bucks and the game itself is phenomenal are charging $1 or $2 for cosmetic items in their game that are completely optionary, and it's also a currency you can earn in-game several different ways, I have no fucking problem with that. So this is a game where not only can you earn enough of the currency in-game to like buy the premium battle pass, but the actual pricing for people who do want to just straight up pay is actually reasonable. It just, overall, man, it's such a solid game, and it's going in such a solid direction. It's got good devs behind it. Now, of course, there are a few things that I do want to mention, right? Because like, I'm calling this game a broken masterpiece, right? There have been several big problems with this game, and I'm not gonna honestly harp on them too much because even though they suck, I realize the developers are under so much goddamn pressure right now. They're doing their best to fix what they can. They're working probably fucking overtime to really kind of get everything together. So like, I don't want this to come across like, oh, I'm shitting on the devs or calling them lazy, because there's a big difference between there being issues in games caused by lazy or incompetent developers and issues caused in video games that are struggling from success and need more help to keep them up. But for instance, for like a day and a half, there was this issue that like right when you loaded up the game, it wouldn't even load into like the server capacity error, or it wouldn't load into the menu of the game. It would just straight up get stuck on a black screen. And like, even if you constantly restarted the game, it wouldn't matter, right? Like, it just constantly loaded a black screen. The developers, I think, did fix this, because I'm not personally running into this anymore, but I'm not gonna lie, bro, there was like an 8 or 9 hour period when I was, just spending the day off the other day, where I was just trying to, jump on Helldivers a couple different times to record gameplay, and I just literally couldn't even get into the game. Of course, there's also been the server problems. I don't want to harp on that too much. I feel like I've already talked about that. The developers, they're addressing that. They're working on it. Like I said, they just basically doubled the server capacity over the last couple days. And I've been able to play even with the server error. There was only like the first day or two where I really had to wait a significant period of time. Like I remember the first day and a half or so that I had the game, I literally didn't even get to play it at all because I was just sitting in server queues the entire time. But anytime now that I've seen like the oh, servers are at capacity thing or whatever, it's only lasted for like 20 or 30 seconds and then I've been loaded in to play the game. So really not a huge problem for me. Now, there's another issue with load-ins. So like when you're, I guess, loading into the planet or you're dropping into play, you're going into the match, there's this like cutscene where it shows your little Helldiver pod kind of coming down. You're going through the atmosphere, burning up and shit. Now, there was an issue for one day for me where like every time I loaded in to play a match, didn't matter if I was alone or if I was with randoms or whatever, right? It would just like constantly get stuck right on that loading screen. You're just fucking loading in the entire time. Would never work. Couldn't play the game. Not gonna lie, this one actually really pissed me off. Like a whole lot when it started happening and when it kept happening. I think it's got to have been fixed. I haven't run into it yet again. And there is also a workaround if you are playing with like a buddy or a party of friends. If the leader of the lobby leaves when everybody's stuck in that cutscene, it will load everybody into the game. And then, of course, since Helldivers 2 allows you to rejoin into matches that you've left or disconnected, the host of the game can just immediately join right back up and it fixes that problem. But I think that's been fixed. Haven't run into that yet again. And then there was an issue in game, right? Like if you die, there's something called getting reinforced, which is when like a buddy or an ally who's still up drops down a hell pod so you can come back in, right? Well, there is an issue circulating. It happens maybe like 1 out of every 5 matches I play where like if you die and your teammate tries to reinforce you with that, it doesn't work. And essentially that player gets stuck, unable to revive or resurrect their teammates for pretty much the entire duration of the match. And I don't know if this one's fixed or if it's still going on. I haven't ran into it again over the last like day or two of playing, but I mean, who knows, right? So I don't know. I love this game. I'm just going to openly say it. It's been cool. I'm not going to lie. In 2024 so far, we've had 2 games come out of the woodworks and just smash expectations. And both of them are really good games. Like, I know there's a lot of hate online for Power World. I like Power World. I thought it was fun. I still like to play it in whatever off time I have for it. Right now, I'm loving Helldivers 2. It really looks like it's going to be a good year for gaming, dude. It really does. So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus playing Helldivers 2. And signing out. And that's a wrap on this video, but a big shout out to my Optimus Nation supporters. You guys are the real MVPs here. Your support with just $10 a month unlocks a treasure trove of exclusive videos, constantly updated, archived live stream VODs, and early access to all new uploads. Thanks for watching and see you soon.